Now we're at the digestive system, and it's part 4, starting on page 889. I need to come to this page of the book in order to get this big overview of what's going on below the diaphragm when we look at the stomach and the intestines. And down here, we've actually developed organs, and we've closed a coelomic space from fetal development, and that means that the bag, as it were, the serous bag that's holding that coelomic fluid is no longer holding anything anymore. It's closed now, and it is a potential space. We call the peritoneal sac here a potential space. And so we have a visceral and parietal peritoneal layer. The visceral layer is closely associated with the organs. The parietal layer is closely associated with the wall, the interior wall. There is this potential space here that the artist has exaggerated in order to show the position of the organs. Okay, so the peritoneal sac itself is an enclosure, and it is a potential space, and nothing exists there except one exceptional thing in the female. The ovary and the fimbriae are not covered by any of these peritoneal layers, so they actually live inside the sac because they have to exchange an egg once a month. So the ovary will ovulate an egg out into the space of the sac itself, and then the egg is received by the fimbriae of the oviduct, and then the egg proceeds down the oviduct. So it has to manage this space and crosses that space. But we'll get more into that when we get to the female reproductive anatomy. But otherwise, there is nothing else living here in this space. It's filled with a very thin layer of serous fluid that just sort of lines the network here. But all of these organs are against each other. Okay, there is behind the peritoneal sac a retroperitoneal space, important to note, because we have a pancreas back here, and so this should be something that's indicating pancreas. We have the liver here, the pancreas, and we have this little portion here of the duodenum. So a little bit of the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, does become retroperitoneal. It's only about 10 or 12 inches long, the duodenum, so it's a very brief entry back there. Some of the other things that are back here would be the aorta and the inferior vena cava, along with the kidneys are back here. A sub-peritoneal position would be the urinary bladder. So the urinary bladder is actually below this level. Okay. So, for instance, if the ovary were to drop the egg, which might happen on occasion, and the fimbriae don't catch it, that means the egg would be down here someplace, which would be not a good place for a fertilized egg to be living, because then it might form an embryo and have a very ectopic pregnancy. Another detail here is that the stomach is lying on its right side normally. So the stomach develops and then it lies over on its right side. And it hooks up here with the liver, and this thing here is called a lesser omentum. And then they've snipped it right here on the bottom of the stomach, and the lesser curvature is something called the greater omentum, and it hooks up the stomach with the transverse colon. Over here we see a picture of it, okay? And then down here we see that the greater omentum has been lifted up so we can see this transverse colon. So the omentums, the two omentums, here they are now in this picture, the lesser omentum on the top of the stomach, the greater omentum that's below the stomach. And they enclose this lesser sac right here, this lesser peritoneal sac. I need you to understand that because some people have peritonitis, some people have ulcers of the stomach, and they might even have pancreatitis or pancreatic cancer, something like this. And so we need to access that spot. How do we access that spot if it's enclosed? It turns out there is just enough space right here to penetrate, about a finger's worth of space right here. You come this way. I should point the scissors this way, and you go right behind this gallbladder here, or actually it's not behind the gallbladder, but right here is the bile duct. There's a little space about enough for about a finger to fit through there. It's called the epiploic appendage. Okay, epiploic appendage. Alrighty then. So that completes the outer layers of the organs that are in the abdominal cavity, all the way down here to the bottom of the peritoneal locations.